Welcome to another session of Biz Money Talks with Tracey Bissett. I'm very excited. We have another special guest today, Brittany Pickrem, brand designer and stylist. Welcome to the show, Brittany.
Tracey, thank you for having me. So great to be here with you today.
Well, I'm delighted. And so you are the founder of a boutique branding and design business based in Halifax, Nova Scotia. You specialize in helping change makers and leaders to show up and stand out with an impactful, value-aligned brand image from their website to their wardrobe. And you and I have done lots of work together over the years. You've certainly helped us with branding, helping us create everything for the Young Money podcast. And I know that you support clients around the world. So I'm so excited and thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Tracey. And you are one of those change makers. You're making a difference with financial literacy. So it's so wonderful to be partnered with you and our branding efforts together.
Excellent. Well, I've shared a little bit about you formally, and I'd love if you can share with those who are watching live or those who are catching the replay a little bit in your own words about you, your business, and some of your experiences.
Yeah, so you said it so beautifully and eloquently there, but if I could add to it, I was an accidental entrepreneur that shifted to an intentional entrepreneur. I registered my business in 2014 and I began to run my business in 2017. So I really, came into entrepreneurship being really great at my craft through graphic design and branding. And I really had to learn a lot about entrepreneurship along the way. But in doing so, I support a lot of entrepreneurs now. And a lot of the entrepreneurs that I support are doing things to make the world better in some way. So a couple of those clients, yourself, like we just mentioned, I've worked with the IWK Foundation, and they, fundraise to support women and children in the Atlantic provinces with as far as healthcare is concerned. The Jazz Festival is another client. They're bringing, international music right here in Atlantic Canada. And another shout out to the Nova Scotia College of Social Workers. So they're really working to bring a social justice lens to the Atlantic provinces and creating social change for the better and bringing a voice where there's not so much that representation. So, yeah.
Excellent. Well, you're here for lots of reasons, but I know one of the successful keys in having a successful business is really having a steady stream of revenue and cash flow that goes along with that. But in order for us to get out there and promote ourselves and for people to buy our offerings, we actually need to be visible. And so sometimes that is a little bit of a challenge. People need to know who you are. They need to get to see you for a little while. They need to get to trust you to make sure that they can do that. And I know that so many business owners that I speak to regularly, that's a challenge, and it's very overwhelming to step up and take that leap into the spotlight, and not only to do it the one time, but to keep doing it and doing it consistently is super hard. So I'd love if you can share, Brittany, your observations from the pandemic about small business owners. And really, what did you see during that time? And we are still in pandemic. We're coming out of it as we speak, and it's still going to be a matter of months before that happens. But what did you see during the pandemic? And what changes have you seen that were different from what you used to see historically?
Yeah, I love this question. And it's a really interesting time to be in the branding space because really the world has changed. And one thing I say about branding quite often is that really brands are just they are a reflection of humanity. A really, really good brand is essentially a living, breathing human in a sense. So brands have really had to respond to an entirely new world, and a lot of interesting things have come out of that. So a few of the trends that I've seen in the branding world is that, and this is so to my delight with a lot of these things, honestly, I have a really positive perspective about things that are happening with brands. And I got to say, perfection is out and reality is in. It is it is just perfection is gone. It's a thing of the past. It is an illusion. It always has been, but but now even more so with the times that we have lived through. Also, what I love, the side effect that I love that's come out of all this is that really brands are being asked to dig a lot deeper and to look at their values. So brands, need to take time to reflect right now and understand how they're showing up and who they're representing. Who are they speaking to? And brands have never, ever, ever been held to this type of accountability. And it's time. I, as a designer, that's the first way I came into this industry. I didn't even realize the ways in which I was holding a lot of white centeredness in a lot of my design work. So this has been a really interesting time. So we had the pandemic, and then we also had a civil unrest happening really throughout the world as well. So that's another kind of pandemic that happened too. Now, everybody loves this word in the marketing and branding world, and they say authenticity. And I kind of have always rolled my eyes at that because really, I think branding and marketing are not typically authentic whatsoever, but now there's a real call to action to be really authentically authentic. So in a nutshell, these are all the trends that I'm seeing, and I could go into each one of those and dissect them. But those are the trends that I'm seeing for the better, and how those really contrast to what had happened before. These things weren't happening. This type of humanity, this type of reflection was not happening with branding before. There was such pressure for so much perfection and so much polish, and nobody wants that. Nobody wants that anymore.
Excellent. And I know you do your mood boards. I think it's Mood Board Monday, if I'm not mistaken. And you've been, throughout the pandemic, I've especially noticed, like, super pro on small business and local, showcasing different artists' work and things like that, but then also showcasing and making use of artworks and other pieces that are either from Aboriginal individuals or Black, and really trying to showcase more diversity in what you're doing. Because it's still the same thing that you're doing, but you're doing it in a little bit different way.
There's a little bit more intention behind it and awareness. And I'm so grateful for this year providing that lens to me. And you're right, I do try to feature local, which is another huge thing that I've seen this year, a real shift to supporting local businesses. And it's always been said before, but I think we're starting to actually walk the talk with that, with staying closer to home as well, and having to stay closer to home.
Absolutely. And for those who might be listening, who don't know what a mood board is, maybe you could just give us the Coles Notes. I just threw the word out there, and I happen to know what it is because I've seen it, but other people might not be aware.
So a mood board, it's a little, it's a bit of a flexible thing. So usually a mood board is something that kind of reflects a certain feeling or energy that might be hard to describe with just an image, but it can also be described in typography, in colors, but usually it's the colors that I pull out of the image. So in the interior design industry, they have a little bit of a slightly different definition of what a mood board is, but it's really capturing the energy and the feeling of something. And I always try to start off the week with a little bit of a kind of a positive burst, or like a good way to frame what's happening, even if times might look a little stark.
Excellent. Well, that's super. Now, you had so many observations, love those key themes that you shared. What do you think companies have been doing well, and what improvements do you think are needed from what you've been seeing?
Yeah, so I think something that companies have been doing really well is keeping it real and being responsive to what is happening. And it's easy to say this without providing an example. And I gotta say, Burger King, and I put it out there. Burger King is one of my favorite fast food places, and they are knocking it out of the park with their branding. So the thing that Burger King is doing right now, I'll give you an example, frame it up. So how they're keeping it real, how they're responding to reality, is that they are showing up with solution-based marketing and branding based on new customer fears in this new world that we're living in. So there was an ad that they ran that they came out with a couple weeks ago, and it was a picture of this kind of like crowded fast food restaurant that they had, and everybody was sort of on top of each other. And I don't know about anybody else listening, but I have a new fear of crowds. I never used to, but I have a new fear of them. for obvious reasons, over these past 18 months. So they captioned this photo, and what they said was, they were like, not to worry, this photo was taken from 2017. There are so many new ways to order your food now. So a lot of brands are shifting to e-commerce solutions. They are getting smarter with addressing their new customer fears that they've never had before. Who was ever fearful about ordering a hamburger before, this really, right? Like it is like totally a different kind of world to be in entirely. So I think brands that are being quick to respond to these new fears and understand customer fears and potential objections to purchasing their product is really clever. I think it's incredibly clever and incredibly smart. Now, if I could flip that over.
Yeah, I just want to jump in for a second, because I actually saw that ad you're talking about. And I'm not the biggest Burger King fan, but the ad, it's not my one I would choose. But the ad made me stop, and I actually watched it or read it, whichever way I saw it. And it got my attention for just that reason. I'm like, oh, that might be different than where I usually go. Maybe I need to reconsider, is what I was thinking in my head, even though it wouldn't be my go-to like it is for you.
Yeah, but it's addressing, a brand new fear that you never even had before, and it slows you down, and it makes you think.
And
I
I'm not a current customer, and I was like, oh, this is good.
Yeah,
maybe I should think about them.
Maybe I'll download their app, and it keeps them top of mind for you, and maybe you'll give them a chance to win your business.
Absolutely. So on the flip side, what can people improve on?
On the flip side of that, something that I would say that, small business brands in particular are struggling with, are probably figuring out what those new fears are. What are the new objections? And Tracey, you would love this. What are the new objections to getting sales? Truthfully. And that does start with your branding and your messaging position. So really understanding and speaking with your customers and figuring out what are some new fears. Also maybe asking yourself, what are some of my own fears that could be shared by others as well, and getting a bit more savvy about that and a little bit more responsive to that. Another area that small business brands are particularly resistant to, which goes to the second half of what I was speaking about, Burger King solution-based branding, is what are you doing in an e-commerce or digital space to further digitally transform your business? So when you hear about digital transformation, it's not like, oh, I have a website, I have a contact form. It's not really just about that. It's also building other pathways into your business and your brand to nourish the pipeline to get sales, which very much is your area and your arena, Tracey. So it's also thinking about how is your brand showing up in these more demanding spaces that really have a very practical purpose. And it is sometimes a real sticky point to figure out how your brand should show up in that way.
Excellent. Yeah. And it can be nerve-wracking to call customers and get that feedback. But I know from the last 18 months that people are delighted to talk, as long as there's no sales. Like, they just want to talk and they want that connection. And if you have some information that can assist them, all the better. And so who wouldn't want to reach out to their best customers and have that kind of conversation? So
yeah. And now's never a better time for that, because we can't be next to our customers physically. I mean, maybe some of us can if we're really lucky, but it's just another way to check in and go, hey, how's it going too? Like, how can I support you as well? So it's another really great thing to do, to speak to your customer for that reason as well.
Excellent. Yeah, we got to hear from the source. If we start second guessing and then we're going to get our message wrong, because we're anticipating what they need, but we haven't actually figured it out. So that is so good. And so I think this kind of all ties in together. But as we look ahead to brighter days, or coming out of the pandemic lockdowns, everybody's at a different stage who might be watching us or catching the replay. If a business owner wants to kickstart things going into the last half of the year, what are 3 things they can do right now to get that kickstarted and have a really great last 6 months of 2021?
Yeah. And, with vaccines on the way, things are just changing all the time. And I really believe we can have really strong final 2 quarters. So I think there's, again, another great opportunity here for brands. right now, and I just recently wrote an article about this, about brand spring cleaning, like spring cleaning your brand and cleaning up your brand presence. So right now, a really great thing to do is to do a little bit of a check-in. I don't like the word audit, Tracy. I know you
Oh, I
might.
was like, an audit. It's an audit. What's wrong with that word?
I knew you were probably thinking that as I was saying it, but the more number shy people, it might be a friendlier way to say a brand check-in. So checking in with your brand and seeing how it is showing up online, and also how you might be showing up in person. And I'll explain what I mean by that. So as far as an online audit, you can actually go into Google, you can go into incognito mode, do a Google search, see what images are coming up. Images are a huge part of the narrative of our brand, the story that our brands tell. Now, you have to ask, what the image that I'm putting out there now, is it aligning with where I'm at currently after these 18 months that we've just gone through with pandemic and whatnot? And I can tell you from what my clients are going through, and even myself, there is some misalignment that is happening. We've all have been changed from this experience, either in a nano way or a huge way. So now is a great time to do a little bit of a check-in and say, hey, is this image still really speaking to my greatest value that I offer and what I want to be offering over the next little while? So that's number one. I'm going to say, do a little check-in, look at Google, look at your socials, get rid of socials that you're not on. You don't need to be everywhere. Just get rid of ones that you're not active on, because if anything, it's a poor reflection of, not showing up. So it's better to just deactivate the account. Your customers that love you are going to find you wherever you're at, and just be on a platform that you really love. The second thing I'm going to say is to be brave. And I think we've all been being really brave throughout this whole thing, but still tap into it just a little bit longer yet. Maybe try something new, either with a new offer or a new way that you've never marketed yourself. If this whole time, this whole 18 months, you've been resisting getting on video, I'm going to challenge whoever is listening to get on a video in the next week. Just book yourself somewhere. Start with a small audience. It doesn't have to be live. It could be like just doing something with that. Or maybe it's not video. Maybe you haven't written a blog post in a really long time. And anybody that's checking out my website will see that that's the case for me. So I'm going to say, tap in, be brave, and do something new. Try, like, this is a wonderful period for experimentation. And I've been seeing a lot of brands experiment a lot, being brave and doing that. But you can still do that now. You can do it at any time, but it's just a really interesting phase that we're in, to see what kind of new content or new branding that you can kind of bring to the table. And we've already covered this.
Well, I'm going to just jump in here for a second.
Yeah.
So for anybody who wants to be brave and jump on a video, I'm happy to help you out with that and interview you. So I'm throwing it out for anybody listening, either live right now or those who are catching the episode later. And I'm happy to bring you on here live. I am happy to do it in Zoom. So just reach out and I can make that happen with you. And I guarantee it'll be very painless.
Oh, lucky for anybody who gets, I'm lucky for interviewing with you today. So finally, we already touched on this, but I am going to say it again. Talk to your customers. Take time to say hello. Don't do a sales pitch. Just don't do that. Just talk to your customers and listen, and see what you might be able to offer as far as a new product, program, or service that can really help them in this phase of transition. So a huge thing that a lot of my customers are facing right now is transitioning to that e-commerce space. So you may be seeing some type of offer from me in the near future with an e-commerce package. So it's figuring out where your services may best fit to help somebody, and how that may help your brand grow as well. It could be some brand growth opportunity there.
Excellent. And I know Business Development Bank of Canada, BDC, did a survey during the pandemic, and one of the trends was the level of investment into e-commerce. There were many businesses that didn't even have a website, let alone e-commerce presence in terms of allowing people to purchase things. So I know that continues to be a huge thing. And we've got people in all different places of the spectrum from an e-commerce standpoint. So there's still lots of opportunity. It is a customer expectation. So if you've just heard Brittany say that, now is your time as your cue to get on that. So love those three that you shared. So the brand check-in, and I'm going to call it an audit because that's the word that aligns with me. And to me, audit is great. You're checking everything, and you're saying, what are all the things I'm doing well, and then what are the things that could improve. So it's not just a bad thing being audited. 2, be brave, and number 3, talk to your customers. So love all of those things. You've been doing lots of different things. And so one of the things you've been embracing is like the reels on Instagram. You even went to TikTok. And so I'm a little bit curious because I've been kind of challenging you behind the scenes, like, what the heck are you doing? And I'd love to hear why you did it and what advice do you have for those who might want to try that kind of thing?
Oh, such a great question, because it's so wonderful to publicly talk about the method of my madness here, because I'm an elder millennial. So I'm a little old. I was slow to embrace TikTok. I was completely petrified and terrified of it. This was my trying something new over the last maybe 10 months or so. So what I've noticed is that in a world where we're all zoomed out, where we're all really quite tired, we have a certain saturation point or tolerance for certain things. So what I used to say when I would give talks was that we have the attention span of a goldfish. There was a Microsoft study that was done. We have the attention span of goldfish. You know what? That's not true, because how many of us binge watch Netflix? We have plenty of it. Yeah, me too. Double hands up. We have plenty of attention span, but we have less tolerance for marketing. So what I was noticing, I was getting a lot of connection and a lot of engagement on edutainment. Mm-hmm. So all of my TikToks they are brand aligned, they're message aligned with what it is that I offer.
And whether they teach people stuff.
They teach people stuff, even if it's one teensy tiny little thing. And a lot of people don't even realize that they're learning, but it's made them think about it in a fun way. So I'm kind of like, I realize I sort of look like a little bit of a dancing monkey, but I'm honestly having fun. And I think if you can tap into fun and flow with your content, there's a lot of reward there, because your customer can also get to see a little bit of your personality and get a feel of what it might be like to work with you, and if that might be a fit. And I always say, like, your marketing and your branding, it's just as detractional as it is attractional. So it's like, if somebody is really turned off by that, maybe we won't be, branding BFFs. So, I do it for those reasons as well too. And I love you challenging me on it, Tracey, but it's fun and it's beneficial. And I think it's just a really great way to get in front of people who have a really low tolerance right now for marketing in general. So, for personal brands.
Let's say I'm going to try. How can I go about that? That's easy.
So, okay, I was watching a TikTok the other day about an app you can download called Trend Talk. So how you start to trend on TikTok is obviously, jumping on a certain trend. You use a popular sound, maybe a trending hashtag or a trending kind of, theme that's happening at that time. Trend Talk can pinpoint what that trend is. But the key thing is that you need to, in my opinion, relate it back to your brand and your message in some way. How is your customer going to get value out of what you're saying? So, but first it's understanding how you can relate it to that trending sort of, that trend or that sound or that, trending hashtag. How can you relate it back and keep it fun, but keep it in alignment with your brand? So you're not really sacrificing your brand alignment, but you're having fun and you're trying something different, and really experimenting with your content is the best way to grow your brand. So if there's resistance there at first, it's probably a good thing to do.
Excellent. And before I let you go, just want to find out if there's any final tips that you want to share with the audience. So it could be something you already mentioned that you really want to emphasize because it's so important. You want us all to make sure we're taking it away, or it can be absolutely something new.
Yeah, so maybe it'll be a little bit of a combination of things I've already said, but I think right now is a time for a lot of compassion, a lot of kindness. Try to, come from a place of understanding with your customers. Really, I think that can go a long way, and I don't think it can be said enough. Where is a way that your talents can really support another business owner And you're growing your, potentially growing a new offer, but also helping your customer at the same time. And I think that still comes back to that kindness and compassionate piece. And I'm going to underline it again: continue to be brave, try new things, like shake it up. So that's probably, those are my final notes.
Excellent. So what are you working on now, and where can people go to learn more about you?
So where you can find out more about me, I hang out on Instagram a lot, as Tracey knows. That's my favorite platform, next to LinkedIn. So I love making new friends. Connect with me, say hello, send a message. If there's anything that you have some sticky points in your brand that you need to work out, send me a direct message. Right now, a new program I'm developing is it's going to be called Bombshell Branding, and it's going to be virtual hot seats about where are you stuck and stagnant with your brand, and how can we work together to get you moving with that. And there might be a lot of feelings of being stuck and stagnant right now, so I'm going to be launching that by the end of this month, and I'll be sharing that all over. So I'll be sharing that all over LinkedIn, and I'll be sharing it over Instagram, of course. So it is going to be it's really limited spots there. It'll be for about 90 minutes, and it's just virtual one-on-one coaching with me to get you unstuck and to get you moving again.
Excellent. So I know that so many people are stuck. People want to change, but we've been so long in this new routine that's not really a routine. So I encourage everybody, once we wrap up today, or if you're watching it on the replay on YouTube, you're certainly going to find the links to reach Brittany, so that you can get in touch with her and perhaps participate in one of those hot seats to get unstuck. And really want to thank you, Brittany. You shared so many great tips that while people might be thinking, how is this going to help me? I think if they saw it originally, and certainly by showing up consistently, standing out, but being real and authentic, current with what's happening, and being there regularly, that allows people to get to know, like, and trust you, which then converts into people wanting to do business with you, which converts into cash flow and ultimately profitability. So I think it all ties together really well, and I'm excited that you are here to join us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Tracey. You just summed up the whole entrepreneurial business ecosystem there just so eloquently in the last moment.
So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Tracey.
You are welcome. And so for those who are watching, please join us for the Biz Money Club. If you want to keep this kind of biz money conversation going, you can register at bizmoneyclub.com, and you can join us weekly. It is a casual meetup, not a networking event. You will get to interact with everybody, but it's just casual. Come as you are. If it fits your schedule that week, you join us. If not, you join us another week. So bizmoneyclub.com. And we are actually in the midst of our 5 days of entrepreneurial foundation peace training. So I'd love for you to join us there, and you can get registered at bizpeace.com. We're diving into cash flow, what is profit, cash flow forecasting, pricing, which is everybody's favorite item of discussion to see if they're making some money on what they sell. And then the final piece is having those hard conversations with stakeholders about money. So we'd love for you to join us, and those links are there as well. So until next time, take good care and stay financially fit. And we'll be back actually this week with another guest on Biz Money Talks with Tracey Bissett. Thank you, Brittany.
You're welcome.